Hello dearest friends, welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. I still need to fit in my mid-month wrap-up, and it's a quite short month this month, so they're going to be quite back-to-back, I think, but regardless, I just don't want to talk about like 20 books in one go, so I'm just going to split it up, do one today, and then at the end of the month I'm going to do my usual wrap-up for the rest of the books I've read. So you're going to hear me talking about a couple of books that I've recently read today. I've had a lot of luck with the books that I've picked up because most of them are, I think, 4 stars, so I really enjoyed them. I did have 2 disappointments that I'm going to talk about in a bit, but the rest of the books were really good, and I'm very excited that I've picked up a series that I'm really enjoying. So I'm going to talk about all those in a second. So without further ado, I'm diving in. The first 2 books that I actually finished are ones that are part of the Valentine's Day novella bundle that just recently came out. It's all different authors who wrote like a 60 to 80 pages of novellas that center on Valentine's Day. I picked up Christina Lauren's The Exception to the Rule. That one is actually the first one. I actually read them out of order because the first one I picked up is the second one, which is Abby Jimenez's The Worst Wingman Ever. But that one I actually finished back in January, so this one I finished in February. The Christina Lauren book I gave 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's an epistolary romance where we've got someone emailing the wrong person. They're in high school at the start of the book, and I think the guy emails the girl and he thinks that he's emailing his teacher, but it's actually the girl that he's emailed, and it's an email that is sent on Valentine's Day. So they kind of make it a tradition of emailing each other on Valentine's Day each year, and they build up this friendship and they catch feelings for one another, but they're never at the same location, so they don't really meet until quite well on in the future. But yeah, I think it's like 70 pages or so, but it's so well flushed out within the email exchange that you really want them to get together already. My only complaint is that it was too short. I would have loved to read more of this couple. I really fell in love with them, and it's very rarely that I give a novella 5 stars, so this one was a really good one for me. And then out of the 6 novellas, I only wanted to read one more because the other 3 authors are not my kind of authors. I don't typically enjoy their work, so I've just decided to stick to the ones that I definitely know that I love. So I picked up With Any Luck by Ashley Poston. That one was kind of a letdown because it really didn't work for me. Typically the trope that is used within this book is one that I should love. There is a wedding setting. So we've got the heroine who is asked to be the best woman of her best friend, and then she has a romance with the best man of the bride, because the bride also has a best friend who is a male. So it's an interesting take on this kind of a trope, because the heroine, she thinks that whoever she kisses is going to end up finding their happily ever after with someone else. So she's kind of very reluctant in kissing people and in falling in love, because it's never the person who will choose for her, right? So she has these kinds of superstitions in her head that kind of work against her finding her one true love. And it's a bit of a weird one. I just didn't vibe with it very well, and I gave it 3 stars. Now, I finally bit the bullet and I read Throne of Glass as well as Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. I am going to try to get through all of the books this year, and I already have a hold on the audios for the next couple of books. So I'm very intrigued to see how I'm going to enjoy the series as a whole, because the first book was all right. I gave it 3 to 3.5 stars because it's a very decent kind of introduction into the whole world and into who Celiana is, the main heroine. She is it's a young adult fantasy, by the way. I really didn't know much about this series. I thought it was adult or new adult, but it's actually young adult. It starts off as a young adult series, and we find out basically how she became an assassin. She's actually the best assassin in the world she lives in. And we just follow on with her journey, with how she is becoming this household name of the best assassin in the world. She's participating in this kind of a tournament to become the king's assassin. And it's a very interesting read. I really enjoyed it. I do think that it stands the test of time because this was released quite a while ago. And I really did enjoy it. It's just that I know that I can expect so much more when we dive into the further history or the further plot lines of this story. So I'm very much looking forward to book 2, 3, 4 to see how that's going to develop. I very much expect that the next books will probably be 4 or 5 star reads for me. I'm very intrigued by the story already, also with the novellas. I think for Throne of Glass I gave it 3.5 stars, and then Assassin's Blade I also gave 3.5 stars, but more leaning toward the 4-star mark because there was more romance in that book, because we see how when she was training to be an assassin, or actually she was already an assassin for this guy, Arobin, she fell in love with one of her fellow assassins, and in the end I actually shed some tears because of what happened between the two of them. And yeah, in Throne of Glass, we already kind of see that Celiana is kind of having feelings for both Dorian, who is the crown prince, as well as Kael, who is kind of like her bodyguard, or also the person she trains with. So there is this kind of a threesome going on that is very interesting to explore. So I'm very curious to see how it's going to continue on into, I think the next one is Crown of Midnight. So yeah, I'm going to keep you posted. I'm very, very much loving it so far, and I really have high expectations for the rest of the books. The next book I'm going to talk about is one that really disappointed me because it started off so well and I had really high expectations for it because of the way that it started. I really thought that I was going to enjoy it so much. The book is called Paper Heart by Grace McGinty. And it's a white shoes romance where we've got our heroine, who is this graphic designer and video editor. She escapes her hometown and goes to LA, where she discovered that there is this kind of an academy where she can enroll herself. She paid her tuition for it, and then when she arrived at LA, she found out that it was a scam. So she gave all of her money for this tuition to become an even better graphic designer and videographer, and it turned out to be a scam. So she has essentially no money, no prospects, but she definitely doesn't want to go back to her hometown, and she finds this ad that is kind of too good to be true, where she can manage the social media accounts and do some videography work for these guys. And when she's looking at the ad, she is at this kind of like a German hot dog stand where she's friends with the guy who owns the hot dog stand, and he's like, "This sounds like you're going to be working for porn stars." And she's like, "Oh, don't jinx me. This is like my only option right now." And she goes to this interview and she convinces them that she is the girl for their social media and whatever presence. But it turns out that actually they need her help with their kind of like an OnlyFans account. All 3 of them are doing OnlyFans, but one of the guys is like a professional chef and he's doing his thing like cooking naked. The other guy is just doing OnlyFans stuff that is very the regular type of OnlyFans. And then the third guy, again, does his stuff naked, but he's doing like pottery things. So all of them have this huge following and they need someone to help them out, edit their stuff. So she is in for a good time because she's going to be living with them and she's going to edit all of their clips, and all of them are essentially naked all the time. So she is definitely attracted to all 3 of them. But that is where the good stuff stops for me. I really enjoyed the start, so the premise of the book, but then the execution of it really fell flat for me. I found that the heroine really had very much self-image issues, because of which she was putting herself down the whole time, even though the guys, each and every one of them, was telling her that you know how beautiful she is, and you know that they're attracted to her. She was putting herself down the whole time. And almost like every single thought that she had was how hot the guys were and how she's not good enough for them and how she just doesn't think that she deserves to be with any of them. And that really kind of bothered me. As well as at some point also the guys kind of started to blend into one another for me. There was only one guy who really stood out to me because of the way that he behaves, because he's quite different than the other ones. And yeah, basically it started off as I thought it was going to be a 4-star read, but unfortunately I really didn't enjoy it in the end, so I gave it 2 stars. Next up, I picked up a book off of my physical TBR. I've had this book for quite some time here in my library, and I'm ashamed to say that I only now got to it. The book is called Ace of Spades. This is a young adult dark academia mystery, and it centers on 2 characters who are in this high school. Both of them are Black, and both of them find out that they're the target of this gossip girl kind of a person who is targeting them and is exposing secrets about them to their school. And it's very interesting. It features a lot of drama. We've got queer representation within the book. We've got some abuse going on within this book. We've got some triggers that you definitely should be aware of for a young adult book, but at the same time it was just so interestingly developed. I really thought that the mystery within it was very much a driving force within this book. It just kept you on your toes and you wanted to find out who is wanting to do this to them, why is this going on, and then the end reveal within the book of who is doing it to them and why it's going on is just mind-boggling. I really did not expect for that to be the motive within the whole situation of them being targets, and I really enjoyed it in the end. I gave it 4 stars. And then I finally read Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I've talked so much on my channel about my love for Ali Hazelwood. I really am vibing so well with the way that she writes. I've enjoyed all of the books that I've read by this author. I think the only book besides her latest release, Bride, that I'm going to be picking up very soon, the only book that I haven't read by Ali is, I think, Below Zero. It's one of the novellas that came out by her, but I've really enjoyed all of the books that I've read by Ali Hazelwood. They're very feel good for me, and I have to say that Check and Mate really surprised me. It's a young adult to new adult kind of book. I know everyone categorizes it as young adult, but my feeling was leaning more towards new adult, even though the heroine is 18. Because of the way that she has had to take care of her family, she's way more mature than an 18-year-old. So basically, yeah, I felt like it was a new adult story. We've got our heroine who is kind of this chess prodigy, and she loves chess, but at the same time she doesn't want to play it anymore because of her history with her father, who taught her how to play chess, and something has happened between them that has influenced her not wanting to play anymore. She has no prospects of going to college because she wants to work full-time to support her family, because her mother has a chronic illness and she has 2 younger sisters that she wants to take care of. And then one day, one of her best friends enrolls her for this chess championship that kind of turns her world around, because from that point on she wins this prize, or actually this kind of almost like a scholarship, to do a 1-year tryout of this academy for chess, and then play these tournaments and then win a lot of money. So this is a way for her to really support her family, and she keeps it a secret from everyone because she really doesn't want anyone knowing that she's playing chess again. And the romance for her is between her and actually her rival within this chess championship world. She beat him once in the past and he is out to play with her again. He wants a rematch and she really doesn't want it. But yeah, he's relentless. He really wants to play with her again. But in the meantime, we find out that he's actually extremely fascinated by her as a person, not only as a chess player. And it's such, I don't know, there is something very swoony about his character and the way that he's fascinated by her. I had all the good feels that I usually have with Ali's books, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. My next read was by Danielle Allen. It's Truth and Dare, and I actually heard just from Peace Love Books talking about this book, saying how much she enjoyed it, so I really wanted to pick it up. It was available through Kindle Unlimited, so I picked it up and I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. This book is a wedding-centered kind of a romance, like a destination wedding kind of a romance. It really reminded me of Natasha Bishop's Only for the Week. I really enjoyed that one, and this one was very similar in the vibes of it. So we've got a destination wedding of this friend group. They all go to, I think it was like Mexico or somewhere, and on I think the first night of this 1 week retreat that they go on, they play Truth and Dare. And it turns out that there's quite a lot of interesting things going on within this friend group, because at the start of the book we find out that they really don't want to date each other because they don't want to ruin their friendship. But as years pass, a lot of the people within this friend group have done something with each other, and one of these couples are actually getting married. So there has been some romantic involvement between some of them, but they really do try to keep it as friendly as possible so they don't ruin the friendship group. But within this first night on this boat, they do this Truth and Dare game, and our hero and heroine really hit it off. Really, they have this amazing like explosive chemical attraction to one another. But then we've got like the conflict within the book, which is the bride. The bride, she has it in her head that she wants to set up her sister with the hero. So she goes to our heroine and she's like, you know, I did sense like that there is something between you. Is there something between you? Because I want to set up my sister with this guy. And the heroine really, she was like, well, I don't know. I don't think so, because she thought that it was a one-off thing. They were drinking and, you know, she didn't think anything too much of it. But then the more time she was spending with him, the more she was figuring out that she actually does have feelings for him and he also has feelings for her. So it kind of becomes this weird thing of them having to keep what they're doing a secret, and at the same time the bride wanting her sister to hook up with this guy. So it was really interesting how that played out. And it was very explosive when it comes to the chemistry between the two characters. The spiciness of the book was really top notch. I really enjoyed it, so I gave it 4 stars. Next up, I have another disappointment, unfortunately. This one, when I saw the cover for it, when I heard what it was going to be about, I was so hyped and I really wanted to love it so much. The book is called Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura, and it's kind of marketed as Indiana Jones meets The Mummy meets Lara Croft. So kind of a very adventurous type of a book. It's a debut novel for this author. And I really wanted to love it, but I really didn't love it. I don't know, there were just so many things that fell flat for me, especially the romance between the hero and heroine. I just felt no connection between them at all. It's a rivals to lovers situation where both of them are archaeologists and they're both vying for the same scholarship and then the same position when they're adults. And basically she is of, I don't know, was it like, I'm not sure which kind of a descent, so correct me if I'm saying something stupid here, but maybe was she Mexican or Chilean or something like that? Like she has this heritage in Latin America where she wants to go exploring her heritage in this archaeological site. But the hero beats her to it and he has his reasons for that. She thinks that he basically took another job off of her just to spite her, but he actually has very valid reasons for wanting the job. But then when they go to explore this site, and there is this adventure that they go on basically to find things that are very important for both of them, just a lot of incredulous things happen. Like the whole action in the end was just not very well fleshed out, in my opinion. A lot of things were happening, and you're like, at least I was rolling my eyes thinking like, yeah, this sounds like almost, when you see very visible CGI in a movie and you're like, yeah, I don't buy that. So it just really fell flat for me on so many levels that I almost didn't finish it. So yeah, in the end, unfortunately, I gave it 2 stars. The last book I read is called Ghosted by Sarah Reddy. This book so much reminded me of Ashley Poston's The Dead Romantics. It has a very similar premise when it comes to how the hero and heroine meet. Basically, she has this apartment, this new apartment. It's an apartment full of mirrors, very weird one. And there is this ghost in her apartment. He's shirtless, gorgeous, and is haunting her basically. And she's trying to figure out why he is there. Should she try to help him pass on, or is he there to help her for some reason? They have plenty of conversations. They go to this psychic to try to help them out to see how they can solve the situation of him being a ghost. Like, is he dead? Is he not dead? What is going on here? And the interesting thing is that in the beginning, you'll probably, if you've read Ashley Poston's book, you'll draw some parallels that are very similar. But then when you hit the 40 to 50% mark, the story becomes very different from what you've read in Ashley Poston's book. And I really appreciated the way that the ending of the book, so from the 50% mark, how that was handled. I really enjoyed the romance. I really enjoyed that within the plot line, we had a focus first of the hero helping the heroine get to the point where she needed to be in life, and then her helping him out as well. So both of them had this very satisfactory ending to their story in the end, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. These were all the books that I managed to finish in the first part of February. I had so much fun reading all these books. I feel like I'm on such a roll. I'm very much in my romantasy era, by the way. I'm going to be talking about quite a few books that I'm going to be reading by the end of the month. I'm having so much fun during February. I'm definitely reading a lot of romantasies because I'm very much in the mood for them. So I can't wait to update you on those as well. Please tell me what you've been reading so far in the month of February. Let me know what books you have enjoyed so much so that I can add them to my TBR as well. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope to see you in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care.